Hey, good evening, Ant Farm. We are so glad you guys are here to join us tonight for another Digital Sunday Night Thirst. We are so glad you are here with us. Right off the bat, we want to say Happy Father's Day to all of our dads out there. Students, make sure you tell your dad Happy Father's Day tonight, all right? Okay, let's go ahead and jump into our announcements this week for the Antioch Student Ministry. Okay, students, here are the announcements this week. Right off the bat, we want to remind you that Senior Week, all right, Senior 1 and Senior 2 at North Georgia Christian Camp for the high school students is next week. It starts on Sunday, June 28th, so 1 week from today. You have to have a negative COVID-19 test in order to go, okay? So you need to get that done like today. Tomorrow might actually be too late. Call the camp if you haven't done that already, okay? Next announcement is Teener 3, which is also Teener 2 and Teener 1 this year. That is our middle school week of camp. It is coming up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today is camp. July 12th through the 17th. Like the high school students, you have to have a negative COVID-19 test before you go. It has to be done a week out. So do not wait. Go ahead and get that done. Go ahead and get it scheduled with your primary care doctor. Talk to your parents. They'll help you get that figured out, okay? 30 and 30. Hey, we are almost done with 30 and 30. We want to thank you guys so much for the hard work you've done so far. Keep it up, all right? Last announcement is that we do not have a return date for when the students can start meeting in person. So we're going to continue to do the digital Sunday Night Thirst for a while, but as soon as I know when we can have worship together as a student ministry, I will let you know, okay? And that is it for our announcements this week. Let's get our worship on.
Counting your status as nothing. King of all kings came to serve. Washing my feet, covering me with your love. If more of you means less of me, take everything. Yes, all.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
Do you ever feel like you're living in two different worlds? There's your life in the actual world, at school, maybe it's at work, with your friends, you're in the band, you're playing sports, and then there's your life at home. And although we probably wouldn't admit it, isn't it true that we are all way weirder at home? Here's what I mean. I cannot believe I'm about to share this story with you guys. But when I was a teenager and when I was home alone, I would stand in front of the bathroom mirror and I would cut these wrestling promos like I was the WWE champion. Cut the music. Let me tell you something. You keep running your mouth about me, you're going to find out while I'm the best, while I'm the champ. You talk about me again, and I'm going to take my 10.5 foot and I'm going to put it where it's going to hurt the most. I'll see you Sunday at WrestleMania. Man, I did that way too much in my life. And I stopped sometime after I was married to Sugar Booger. And golly, I'm so embarrassed telling you this. But here's the thing. Have any of you ever heard me talk like a professional wrestler? Nah. Now, before you judge me too much, here's something that I know for sure. You do it as well. Maybe you don't cut the wrestling promos. Maybe you're singing the Disney songs at the top of your voice. And guys, you don't want your girlfriend to know about this. Girls, maybe for you like to pretend you're doing something that you'd be totally embarrassed with if your friends found out. We all act in ways at home that we would never act with our friends or our family or at school or really anywhere in public. Not only are we weirder at home, but most of us are a little, how can I put this? Difficult. We're a little bit more difficult at home. Think about it. You would never leave your nasty socks on the stairs at a friend's house, but you wouldn't think twice about doing it at your own house. You would never talk to your coach the way you would talk to your mom or your stepmom. You would never be as mean to a teammate as you are to your brother or sister. And you probably don't go off nearly as quickly on anybody outside your house as you do the people in your house. But how is this possible? More importantly, why is it this way? Why do we act in two completely different ways depending on where we are? There's a lot of reasons for this. I think maybe one of the main reasons for me is that I think of home as, especially when I was a teenager, that this is my world and everybody else is living in my world. You know what I mean? Maybe we don't say this out loud, but when we walk in the door, man, we want to know what's for dinner and is it something that we like? We complain about going to a siblings concert because we have other plans. Like I said, a lot of times our attitude is, this is my world and I want it my way, like the slogan from Burger King. But that's not nearly true anywhere else. Most of us wouldn't go to a friend's house and say, oh man, that smell, I hate lasagna. Woo! Why would you make that? We would never tell our coach that we're not coming to a game because we've already got other plans. or at least we shouldn't anyway. Even if we know we can get attitude with people at school, it's never to the level of what it is at home. You see, for some of us, home feels like it's the only place that's safe for us to be the realest version of ourselves. And the people we live with will still love us, or hopefully still love us, even when we're being over the top and ridiculous. But at the same time, we all tend to be not just the realist, but the worst version of ourselves. No matter what's happening, I'm asking myself this question: how does this affect me? I mean, think about it. Everything we say, everything we do at home is in the response to how that question is answered. How does this affect me? Maybe you would say, man, my family loves hamburgers, but I'm a vegetarian, so what do? Man, they go out for burgers after the game, and I'm over here trying not to puke, eating this black bean version of whatever this is, so I make a point to let everybody know just how bad it is over and over and over again. Maybe you would say, man, I don't get to go out with my friends that often. Why? Because I got to babysit. So I'm going to go and just give my parents the worst attitude possible. Maybe you would say something like, man, I study so hard all night for my test. And my brother or my sister, man, they were scrolling through TikTok all afternoon and all night, and they got a better grade than me. Well, man, they don't deserve that A. So you know what? Obviously, I'm so annoyed with them that I am going to treat them horribly. You see what I mean? What I don't think a lot of us realize as we think about our lives at home is how much our response to the question, how does this affect me, change the vibe in our house. As we respond to how things are affecting us, the people in our house are responding to how we are affecting them. Then we respond to that. And most of us don't realize we're playing a key role in the general feeling of our house. Is this always true? No. But for some of us, we know we are at least part of the cycle of tension and attitude where we live. The question is, what do you do about it? What do you do when things are tough at home? When the mood is off? When you know that you are a part of the reason that things are tense, but you have no idea what to do about it? Listen, you don't need me to tell you that your family is hard. But the good news is, in all of this, is that the difficulty you face with your family, it's not unique to just you. As a matter of fact, it's been around for thousands of years. In fact, one of the things I love most about the Bible is that it's actually real events. And in the Bible, it gives us a real look at real people who lived real lives with real problems. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to spend some time looking at the life of Joseph. Now, Joseph was one of the most famous people in the first half of the history found in the Bible. He's a guy who, just like us, found himself in all kinds of situations where he didn't know what to do. Now, Joseph's story is wild, like dramatic Netflix show, midday soap opera, crazy. I mean, there's murder plots. He's sold into slavery. He's unfairly put in jail. The story has twists and turns everywhere, and the drama is like a soap opera. It never stops. It just keeps going and going and going from one story to the next storyline. And over the next couple of weeks, we're gonna focus on this life of Joseph. But it all starts with the drama with his family. Let me give you some background. Joseph is one of 12 sons who all love them, had their dad who was Jacob. Now, Jacob's story is complicated. He fell in love with this woman named Rachel, but he was tricked into marrying Rachel's sister, Leah, instead. But Jacob loved Rachel, so he worked for her father for 7 years so that he could marry her too. So if you're keeping count, that leaves Jacob, one guy, with 2 wives. Oh, and they were sisters. Don't forget that. Sounds like a really bad TV show, doesn't it? Told you it did. Now, let's go a little weirder, okay? There are 2 other women that Jacob never married. But they also had children with Jacob. You ready for the plot twist? Bum, bum, bum. Rachel, the wife that Jacob loved the most, couldn't have children. So all these women are giving him kids, and Rachel, the one he loves the most, couldn't, until all of a sudden, she's pregnant. She's pregnant with a child that is later named Joseph. Joseph was like the miracle baby. And Jacob, the dad, was crazy about him. That means in this family, you have one father, 4 mothers. I don't have enough fingers to hold up 12 to represent the 12 sons. So there was definitely some tension because it was no secret who the favorites were. And this is where we pick up in the life of Joseph. In Genesis chapter 37, we read about Jacob and how Jacob made a very special robe for Joseph. And this is a physical reminder of how much more his dad loved him than the other sons. And the brothers, man, they despised Joseph for it. At that time, robes were like the newest Jordans. They were a very big deal. And that wasn't the only issue. Joseph, he started having these dreams. Check out this right here in Genesis chapter 37, verse 6 and 7. And this is what it says. He said to them, "Listen to the dream I had. We were tying up bundles of grain out in the field. Suddenly, my bundle stood up straight. Your bundles gathered around my bundle and bowed down to it." Wow. I mean, Joseph, he was telling this dream. It's not this typical dream. And the brothers knew it. This wasn't a dream about bundles of grain. It was about power. And Joseph was sending a message by sharing this dream. He was saying, hey guys, listen to this. I think, you know what, actually, I know I'm going to be more powerful than you one day. And when that day comes, you're all going to worship me. Now, for a younger brother to say that to the older brothers, man, it's not going to fly. This is what happens next in verse 8. This is what it says. His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he said. Man, the vibe was harsh. Joseph's brothers, man, they were over his clothes. Man, they were over his dreams. And then Joseph had another dream later involving the sun and the moon and the stars. Guess what? Bowing down to him. It was the same message, but this time it also included his parents bowing down as well. He tells his dad Jacob and his brothers, who now hate him even more, not the best move, little Joseph. Can you imagine the tension in this family? One dad, 4 moms, a dozen boys, and now the favorite son who goes around telling people that he's having visions of everyone bowing down to him. Why would he do that? But Joseph wasn't acting in a way that considered any of that. Joseph was behaving like all of us do in our family sometimes, hyper aware of how we are being treated and not really aware of how it affects anybody else. In Joseph's family, same boat. All Joseph's brothers could see was how this whole situation affected them, the unfairness and the injustice. I mean, Joseph receiving a robe was a gift that was like being given for you guys like a brand new car. When he turned 16, when all your other siblings, man, had to share your mom's ancient minivan. It wasn't right, and they saw it. The truth is, even though these few verses are about more than strange dreams and a coat, it's about how the tension in the family was never dealt with, and the tension was left to grow. And we are still reading about this story today for a very reason. Why? To show us family has always been complicated. To teach us to pay attention to how our actions and even our situations affect the people we live with. And to remind us that tension left unsolved will never just go away. It will never escalate. It will always escalate to something bigger. And next week you're really going to see how Joseph's situation escalated to like a biblical dumpster fire kind of situation. But until then, what could everyone in the family have done differently? I mean, Joseph could have started to see himself as part of the problem, as one person in a large family and not the center of it. I mean, then you have Jacob. Jacob could have recognized how his favoritism was impacting everybody. And then the brothers could have chilled out a little bit on the grudges and gossip about Joseph. And then everybody also could have just ignored Joseph's dreams and not allowed their insecurities to control them. The point is this: Joseph's family drama isn't all that different than our own. Whether you're the favorite one, the angry one, the firstborn, the lastborn, the quiet one, or the one with the gold medal in the door slamming competition, the truth is the same. There is a role that you play in your family. Pay attention to how your words and your actions contribute to the tone and temperature of the house. Are you improving it, or are you making it more tense? Then decide what you want your role to be from here on out. In other words, pay attention to how you affect your family. And then choose how you're going to treat them. If you aren't sure where to begin with, take a look in the Bible. There's a passage that Paul wrote to the church at Philippi. In some ways, these people worked a lot like a family, and they were trying to figure out how to live together. So in a letter that Paul writes, this is what it says in Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 through 8. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others. In your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus, who being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. Paul is basically saying, look at the example that Jesus set. He gave up the privileges that came with being God. He deserved to be treated like God, but didn't require that of people. He chose to serve and have compassion for humans, even when they didn't deserve it at all. Paul is reminding the Philippian church, and he's reminding us to be that kind of person with those around us. So the billion-dollar question is, how do we do that when we don't know what to do at our house? We start by paying attention to how we see ourselves. Do you act or think like we're better than people in our own house or in our own family? Maybe. Is that accurate? Probably not. So what would it look like to treat our siblings, maybe our step siblings, our cousins, or the adults in our house as equal? Or maybe even more important than ourselves. And finally, maybe the hardest of all, we need to invite someone else to speak into how we treat our family. Honestly, it's nearly impossible to see clearly the role that we play in our family, but others around us can see it. And by us asking them, they can help us see ourselves and our families with 20/20 vision. In fact, asking someone who is older and wiser is one of the best things to do when you don't know what to do. This is why we have small groups, by the way. This is why we meet together on Wednesday nights on Zoom before the summer hit. This is why we need people all around us, people that are older than us, like a leader. Maybe it's another man or another woman or me, the youth minister. This is why we have people who can know what's really going on in our family and help us figure out what to do when we don't know what to do. Imagine for a second if everybody in your family did this. What if everyone paid attention to how they affect everyone else? What would it do for your relationship with the people who live at your house? What would it do for the general level of tension or peace at your house? What if it started with you? I got good news for you. It can. Father, I thank you so much for tonight, for this lesson, reminding us to put others above ourselves, to think how our actions are affecting the general feeling in the house, Lord. I remember when I was a teenager, I was a handful sometimes, and I know that's not unique to me. So I ask God that you give all the students that are watching some clarity and give them some wisdom and insight to maybe take a step back and to reevaluate how they are affecting everything. Lord, we love you so much. Thank you for sending your son to die for us. In your son's name I pray. Amen. That's going to do it for another Digital Sunday Night Thirst, man. I cannot wait to see you guys again. We started having back church now on Sunday mornings. Space is limited, so make sure you and your family sign up. That way I can actually see you face to face through my mask. But at least I get to see you that way, okay? But until we are all back here together again, peace and love to you guys, and I cannot wait to see you soon.